I'm going to try to get a spot here where I can get out of everybody's way so you can see the screen. And again, tonight we mainly want to hear from you. So the staff has worked real hard with me. We've got this down to 89 slides. Just teasing, just make sure you're awake. We've got 10 slides that we want to go through very quickly here and just bring you up to date on a few things. And then we're going to turn the program over to you, citizens of Walker County. We want to hear from you, understand what you feel is going good, what you think to do better, and maybe areas that we just completely missed the mark. So we want you to be thinking about those things, because every one of you, we want to give you an opportunity to take the baton. So be ready, okay? But before we do, I've got some other people I want to introduce here tonight. Joe McGee is our Director of Information and Public Relations, and everything else that we can find Joe is a rock star and gets it knocked out of the park. We've got Matt Williamson is our County Attorney, Advisor Extraordinaire, does everything. It's amazing what he's been able to accomplish since March of last year. We have Blake Hodge standing over here as our Emergency Management Director, Fire Chief, Director of 911, and he runs every structure, fire, and makes sure things are taken care of, everyone's protected. We have one of our, what I call quasi-government members / employees / partners / extraordinaire. And that's Wade Hutchison. Wade, stand up. Many of you probably already know him. He's our University of Georgia Ag Extension representative, so we appreciate him coming out tonight. I believe that's all the staff that's here. There may be one or two more. We're going to try to make it here tonight. But welcome to the forum, and Joe, our first slide. Big thing we want to talk about first is the debt. There are some sheets there at your table. Don't want to go into the deep weeds unless y'all want to, but it shows the 2016 balance sheet. I squared off and marked what the debt was at the end of 16. The other page is 17. And so in 2017, we inherited $70 million worth of debt. And you'll see that on the balance sheet, like just a few dollars being $70 million. In 2018, we got that number down to $66.5 million. And as of the end of January, we're down to $46.5 million. And the long legal size spreadsheet there shows you the breakout of that. So the spreadsheet ties in to the balance sheet, and that is a reduction in the first 25 months, down 33.6% of the debt that we have in total liabilities for Walker County at the end of January of 2019 from where we started from that audit dated September 30th of 2016. Okay, the main thing, some of you have already took a swipe or two at me talking about roads. Those roads were bad when I got here, okay? No, roads are a big issue. And one of the things, we've got a kind of a slogan around the office that we go around talking to each other about all the time, and that's roads and codes. 2019 is about roads and codes. I cannot thank you enough for voting for the T-Splosh. The T-Splosh is what's going to pull us out of this. T-Splosh on average is bringing in about $300,000 a month that we would not have to work on these roads if it wasn't for that income. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Walker County passed that by 75%. There's only one other county in the state that has been that strong of a positive vote for T-Splosh, and that's down in the Athens area. Is that Athens, Clark County, I believe, was also at 75%. So across the state, they use Walker County as a how to implement T-Splosh and how to move your county forward. So we've got go back just one page here. We've got a logo that we've got. See the T-Splosh logo? On the roads that are going to be on our project list, you're going to start seeing these signs popping up. And so the roads, as we get ready to let those out for bid, we will pop these signs up that says funded by T-Splosh. And then you'll say coming soon on the bottom. And then once we get the road paved, we'll change it. It says funded by T-Splosh. Okay. This right here is a map of Walker County, and the red lines indicate our phase 2 of our road paving. Our first phase was to pave and do the work on Nickajack Road. The state of Georgia had rated Nickajack Road the second most dangerous county road in the state of Georgia. And so we had a rock slide up there a few years ago that we had to go and do some shoring of the rock slide. We had some areas that we had to do some grade work and some patch work and to get that all in good shape. This is the list of roads that's in phase 2 of our T-SPLOST funding, and there are many, many other roads and miles of roads beside these that, you know, as soon as funding comes in, we're going to be working on. This is just phase 2. Those roads there, we're going to put this out for bid in the next few weeks, but I'm estimating that's probably about somewhere between $4 and $5 million worth of road projects right there. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is another big issue as we talked about roads and codes and cleaning up our county, because we have a beautiful community and a lot of natural beauty in our community, but we've also got a lot of trash and a lot of junk and a lot of blight in our community. We have been working hard at this now for 2 years, and sometimes it feels like we're just scratching the surface on what we're battling. So we wanted to bring some numbers with you and share some of the progress that we've made. First of all, code enforcement cases that have been closed. These are where code enforcement's gone out in the community, have actually wrote a citation to a property owner and said, you got to get this cleaned up. These are the cases that have been closed, where we have successfully cleaned up 819 properties in Walker County in the first 2 years. The next is code enforcement violations. That's the number of citations total that was written. Now, what we do when we write a citation, the first citation is just a warning. We give them 30 days notice of a warning to clean up. We go back in 15 days as a general reminder. We tell them up front, got 30 days, but I'll be back in 2 weeks to check on your progress. And then, when the code officer goes back in 30 days, they have the discretion to see at that point if they write a citation that has a fine, or they have the discretion to give them more time. So a lot of that's going to determine time of year. You know, is it 30 degrees and raining every day? Is it summertime? Is it wintertime? Have they made progress? Are they trying to do better? Are they trying to get cleaned up? Or are they just thumbing their nose at us and saying, I'm not going to do this? But as you can see, we had 2,326 violations, but we've only got 819 of them closed out. So we've still got a lot of work here to do, but we're making a lot of great progress. This one right here is just incredible. These are 49 community cleanup projects. So this is where we run into situations of major junk in people's yards, or garbage, or all the combination of their above. And we could tell that Granny didn't put that transmission in the front yard. She didn't put all that junk around the side of the house. You know, somebody in the family or extended friends or whatever did all that and left her with it. So this is where we reach out to the community. Many times some of our faith-based organizations and churches, and we say, this person or family or individuals or couples needs some help. They're willing for someone to come in and help them, but they don't have the ability, maybe financially, or the ability physically. Sometimes we come into situations where maybe one of them is on dialysis or cancer. I mean, there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. But us as a county, we can't go in and clean up, but we can bring in Boy Scout groups. One of the groups that we work with every year is Covenant College. First day of school, the last 2 years, all incoming freshmen do a community project. This is some of the results of that. So 49 cleanup projects, it's 49 individual locations. In 2018, they cleaned up, hauled off, and documented 54.62 tons, 2017, 58.56 tons, and in total, 113 tons of trash, debris, junk, and garbage out of those 49 properties that was hauled to the landfill. So that's incredible that those people did that for us. Our litter control. This is our roadside litter pickup. Now this is primarily county roads, non-state highways for the most part, and non-city roads. In 2018, this is one crew, one full-time employee using 3 to 4 county inmates a day. 61.45 tons in 2018 and 61.51 tons in 2017 for almost 123 tons of litter that was picked up off the side of the road. So that's a total of 236.14 tons, or over 472,000 pounds of trash and junk and debris that was taken to the landfill in 2 years. And some of you have already asked me tonight, what are we going to do about cleaning up our roadsides, and when are we going to start picking up the litter off the side of the road? It's an incredible task, because we've got to get people to buy in, not to litter, not to throw stuff out the car window. But it seems to be a culture battle that we're dealing with. And talking to our friends in Dade County, it's a topic of conversation, litter control. The commissioner in Murray County, he says it's driving them crazy, the amount of litter that's on the side of the road. So we're getting ready to hire a second litter control person and take a second team out so we can double down on this effort to try to clean this litter up. Because we feel like that if we can get it cleaned up and people see the beauty, that there's going to be less people chucking stuff out. It's almost like, well, everybody else is doing it, I might as well throw out my McDonald's cup as well. So we're trying to turn that corner. Our Tire Amnesty Day was a huge success. Trying to control mosquitoes and also get this stuff out of our ditches and out of our green space. But 12,284 tires in 2 years was taken out of Walker County during our Tire Amnesty Day. And so we have applied for, and those grant dollars that paid for that through the state EPD. We have applied for that again for 2019 to have a couple of more Tire Amnesty Days in 2019 and try to get even more of the tires out of our community. Okay, this is a new Vision 2030 advanced team that we've put together that will make recommendations addressing issues pertaining to land use, especially issues affecting property values, public nuisance, property rights, and future developments in our county. So what we're trying to do is put a team of people together that's looking forward, because everything that we're trying to do in 2019 is to go forward. How do we get there? And so we want to make sure that our ordinances dealing with land use and preserving our community and best practice is put into place. And some of these ordinances go back to when Commissioner Parrish was in office. And things change over time, and so we want to go back and make sure we do a review. So we've got a team assembled there that have all volunteered to serve in this capacity. And they've had their first meeting, got started last month, and they're going to be meeting at least once a month, and they're going to have a lot of interaction with each other in the interim, I'm sure. But very excited about that, and you'll be hearing more about that in the future. Okay, this is another exciting thing, is our Walker Rocks campaign. How many of you have heard about Walker Rocks? Most of you. Walker Rocks started in June of 2018 was the launch. And back about 60 days ago, the Historic High Country gave Walker County the 2018 award for excellence for the best marketing campaign. So that was an award we didn't even know we were up for. And so it was very exciting that we were able to receive that award. And there's now over 5,000 Facebook followers. There's 45 countries that are following the Walker Rocks Facebook page. There's been 8 web videos created. This has already, just since June, has increased our sales tax revenue by $88,519. We've seen incremental growth in our county. The bookings down at Mountain Cove Farms at an all-time record. And also the recognition by the regional, we're getting a lot of recognition on a regional basis about what we're doing and the natural beauty and bringing attention to this. So we've got a great looking Facebook page and also a great website. Okay, this is another initiative that we've got going. Saving lives with fire alarms installed for free. The picture there on the lower left is actually a campaign that we did with the Red Cross this past Saturday up off of, forget the road name, Blake. Dry Valley Road. We've had, last year there was 2 house fires up there on that one road, and there was fatalities in both of those house fires. And when the fire inspector went in and did his inspection, there wasn't any working smoke alarm for any one of those houses. So we've partnered with the Red Cross, and they are supplying us smoke detectors where our team will go out and install these smoke detectors at no charge to you. And these things will last for 10 years. And so one thing that very much impressed me, I'm going to put him on the spot here, but I asked Blake Hodge, our fire chief, a couple of weeks ago, I said, Blake, what are we going to do if we run out of smoke detectors? He said, we'll figure it out. We'll change the budget. We'll do something. If we've got to buy some, I'll give up something else to make sure somebody's got a smoke detector. Well, that's the kind of leadership that we need, is someone that's willing to give something else up to make sure somebody else has a smoke detector. So we've now got a little video that we're going to try to run. It gives a little more background about these smoke detectors. He's going to get that video up here in a minute. Let's talk about this here. Come on up, Blake. This is something that Blake Hodge has been working on pretty passionately for the last several weeks. I'm going to let him speak to this real quick.
So currently, our vendor for your public notification, how many of you are signed up currently for HyperReach, which is out of the, so a few of you know what it is. It's something that we do to tell you when, give you any kind of information, tornado warnings, severe storm, winter storms, any kind of notification that we need to give you. Shelters are open at certain times. But our current vendor had some limitations, so we've been researching and really looking to see how we can improve that, because we're limited in the notification by our infrastructure of our phone capability. So if you have a landline, it takes up to an hour to get one notification out in Walker County with just 22,000 notifications going out. And we want to triple that. Okay, that's how many people are signed up in various ways. So we are going to move to a better delivery notification system called Siren GPS. It is, to give you a quick brief, it cascades. It chooses a delivery specific to you. So if you have a smartphone, you're going to be able to have an app on your phone where it's going to notify the app almost immediately. Once it notifies you, it's going to stop. You'll be signed up for the app, text message, a cell phone call, or a landline. But it's going to stop at that. When you get a notification, it knows to stop putting it out in the infrastructure, so it becomes like quicker. We also are going to be doing a lot more notifying you of different things going on in the community, such as this meeting tonight. We'll be able to push it out to you, and everybody will know about it. So, relatively the same cost that we've been paying. This is going to be a better diversified product and delivery system. So we're excited about it, looking forward to it. We're going to, if you want, we've got some flyers that we're going to give to you. You can actually, we're online as of today with it. You're going to be, those of you in the meetings for the next few weeks are going to be our, basically we're going to test it with you a little bit. We're online, but you get to sign up if you want to now. We'll go over that. I'll be here. We'll let them finish everything tonight, but I'm going to stay after. If you have any questions, it's really easy to get the app on your phone. How many have smartphones? It's well over half the people. So that's going to, those of you that have a smartphone, you'll not put your landline in because you're going to have so many ways to get the notifications. That's going to free up for those that have the landline only. It's going to free that delivery up quicker for the entire county. So, yes. service. Yeah, I unfortunately know nothing about how to get you better telephone service, but I do understand your concerns because we hear that quite frequently. So all I can do is apologize right now for that. I don't have anything to do with that. We're going to get these to you, and I'm going to hang around tonight and help you sign up if you want to. You got your phones ready to help you sign up. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, this app's already up and ready to go, so these are all on the center of your desk. Table, we've got more up here. One side talks about the app and how to get signed up. It's free, and the other side talks about the smoke alarms and what phone number and all to call about those. So we ready, Joe?
Hi, I'm Joe Legee, and welcome to How Walker Works, an inside look at how government operates here in Walker County, Georgia. While most people associate Walker County Fire Rescue with fighting fires and emergency response, the department also actively works to prevent fires.
Because we want to save lives. I mean, that's just the bottom line. We want to save property, but we want to save lives.
Along with visits to schools and community events, building inspections, and safety training for local businesses, this county department also offers a free residential smoke alarm program.
We're going to go out to your home. We're going to do a home safety survey, and we're going to make sure you don't have any hazards in your house, and we'll put in the smoke alarms they need. It's that easy.
Smoke alarms are given out and installed for free. There are no income restrictions. You just have to make the call to receive a potentially life-saving device.
If you need them, we'll come install ours. If you have them, if you can afford to buy them and you have them, we'll come install them for you. If you don't need to climb on a ladder because you're elderly, we'll do that for you.
5 fire-related fatalities occurred in Walker County in 2018. Fire investigators did not find working smoke alarms where those deaths occurred.
The ones we have are good for 10 years. They have a sealed battery. You don't have to change the battery. All you have to do is push the button once a month and test them and make sure they're working. If your smoke alarms aren't working, you may as well not have them.
Walker County firefighters installed 228 smoke alarms in 2018. If you need one, make the call. Dial 706-539-1255. The life you save may be your own. I'm Joe Legee. Be sure to check out walkercountyga.gov for other How Walker Works features and county information.
Okay, that was our last slide. See, I told you it was short and sweet and to the point. So now we want to hear from you. Tell us what's on your mind tonight. Tell us what inspired you, motivated you to come tonight, and what's on your mind. Who wants to be first? Don't be shy. Okay, I'll bring you the microphone. A little shot there, wasn't it?
We want to thank the commission for coming tonight and meeting with us. Okay. And I talked to Chief Hodge just a little while ago because he and I have been talking about this for a while. But for everybody's benefit, I wanted everybody to hear this. I've had some concern about 2 aspects of water. One is that the water lines were never finished here in the Cove. We have no water. Sam, how old is that water line? Do you recall coming across Andrews?
Put in the middle 60s.
In the middle 60s. And it was something covered with tar paper. That's the kind of a water line it is.
Last 10 years.
It was supposed to last 10 years. So, speaking for the people along Andrews, and I understand that there's a similar situation up at Aiken, and those are 2 only areas that I can really address based on what the people have told me. We really need water lines. And to top it off, we don't have any fire hydrants along those roads. So, and I know Chief Hodges is aware of this now because I mentioned it to him. But anybody else that might have had a concern, I wanted to put your mind at rest by the answer that the commissioner's going to give.
And I do have all the answers, right? No, just kidding, far from it. No, very good question. I'm glad the water topic's come up tonight, because this is something that has been a real wake-up call for me to learn how neglected the system has been over the decades and how fragile our water system truly is in our county. As one example, you talked about those lines supposed to last 10 years. Well, at 3 of our wells, they put in some pumps down in the ground, 140 foot down in the ground, that was supposed to last between 20 and 25 years. Well, I found out less than 30 days ago they were 46 years old. And so when I told the water board this, I said, we've got to do something, because this is at ground zero, so to speak. If we can't get the water out of the well, we're in big, big trouble, because a water line can bust, we can send a team out and they can go to work on that. You get a pump in a well 140 foot down, quits working, it's going to be a few days. And so we immediately sprung into action, because many of you realize and know that we've had to go up on our water rates a couple of times over the last 2 years. And it was a decision that the Walker County Water and Sewer Authority had to make, because the Walker County Water and Sewer Authority had, for the last 2 years, had been operating in the red and was going down the pathway of being out of business. So we had to take and increase revenues, and also so we could start working on the system. So the board at its last meeting made a financial commitment of $300,000 to replace the pumps at the wells, and also to re-sleeve the wells. And also we have already completed a connection over on Marble Top Road to try to get a backup for this community down here. Because one of the problems is the wells that are in this area, there was no secondary connection. And so all communities, you want a backup plan, you want a plan B. And so we now have a plan B that was completed about probably 60 days ago that gave an interconnection to be able to push water down into this community that wasn't here 90 days ago. And so what we're working on is those pumps at those wells up there at the coke ovens that supplies a big portion of our overall system. And so we are working to replace water lines in conjunction with our road paving to try to get the synergies that we need, because if the water company goes in and replaces water lines, then they're going to dig up the roads. And if we don't want them to dig up a road, we just pave it. And we don't want them to have to pave the road back if we're going to pave it in 6 months. So we're trying to collaborate, the two work together most efficiently. And the biggest thing we've got to do in some of these areas, twofold, is to get the water lines out of the center of the road, or out of the roadway in general, and get the lines larger, which is what you're speaking of. A lot of times, even if someone wanted to buy a fire hydrant, it's not possible, because it's a 2-inch line or 1.5-inch line, and it's not going to do you any good. You need a minimum, a very, very minimum of a 4-inch line, preferably a 6 or 8-inch line. So we have been looking at this as part of our plan, and some of the roads that we have on this paving list, number one, we're looking at all utilities before we start paving on everything that's on this list. So we're contacting all the utility providers that have utilities on those roads and saying, hey, here's an opportunity if you need to upgrade any of your utilities, whether it be gas, cable TV, anything that may be there, electric, do it now and we'll fix the road back. So it's a huge plus for a utility if they can come in and tear the road up if need be, and they don't have to worry about paving it back. And so we're trying to collaborate with our other utility providers to be able to do that and upgrade the water lines as we pave, and where we can, that we can supply the volume to get up to a minimum of a 6-inch line, so we can start putting more fire hydrants out, which will save you on your homeowner's insurance as well. So it's going to be a never-ending, ongoing project, because they tell me that you need to upgrade 5% of your water lines every year. You need to do an upgrade replacement throughout your entire system You need to do a minimum of 5% of your lines every year. That's not being done in the past. So I hope that answers and give you a little more information, but it's an ongoing problem. Well, we have submitted several of these roads already to the state, because it's another thing. If you move a water line or make it larger, you've got to have an engineering drawing and a study. It's in EPB for approval. So there's at least 5 of those, I think 10 roads that's on that list that we've already submitted. And so as we go through the process, then it's going to be never ending. But it's definitely a problem, and we're going to also probably have some areas that, even if we're not paving, that we're going to work on replacing water lines if they're not in the middle of the road.
How many years do you commit to replace all of them?
Well, they want you to replace 5% a year where you're always replacing. So, you never stop. But the problem that we face for the most part, it never started.
5% on real water you replace.
No, but we've got over 400 miles of water line just on the Walker County Water and Sewer Authority, that's responsible for, and there's 8 other water systems in Walker County, keep in mind too. So Walker County Water and Sewer Authority out of Flintstone, who does service this area, has about 400 miles of water line. Good question. Yes.
Looking at the balance sheet, I always start out almost $70 million, or you did.
We inherited that together.
46 million now. The tax increase is supposed to last 1 more year. Do I understand that correctly for the debt reduction? But I don't see where it's going to reduce the debt, to wipe that out.
Okay.
So what other plans do you have as far as, extra taxes or anything, coming down the road?
Great question. If you look on the spreadsheet, I think it's about halfway down the column there, it says, it mentions Erlanger. The public health facility fee that was added in 2017, that was a 3-year fee on your property taxes. All of that money is going to reduce the debt and the expenditures that was created by the Hutchison and Erlanger. And so that was a 3-year pledge to do that, which allowed us to negotiate with Erlanger on the $8,700,000, to pay them back in quarterly payments of $650,000 per quarter. We've paid them back $3,250,000 to date of that $8.7 million. And so, with being able to pay them in such large chunks, and the pressure that was put on them publicly to come to a settlement, and also not to just kill us all, we got them to forgive the back interest, the attorney fees, the court costs, and also all future interest over the next 3 years, which would have been total close to another $2 million. So that was a substantial saving. If you look at the splosh number there, I think it's around $8 million still left. That will be paid out over the next 2 years as the splosh collections come in, so that will get knocked out pretty quickly. And so the biggest way is to quit taking on new debt. And one of the things that we had to get out of is the tax anticipation notes called the TAN, which is about the second or third column there. Or when I took office in January 2017, we had to borrow $7.5 million just to stay alive. And so we had less than 5 days of positive cash flow in 2017. 2018, we went 240 days of positive cash flow in 2018. And we only had to borrow $1 million. And we paid that back in about 35 or 36 days. So we're hoping going forward that we won't have to be in a position to have to do a tax anticipation note. If we made it 240 days in 2018, we feel like we've got the budget and the plan to carry us all the way through 2019. Robert, do you have something else to say? Okay.
I want to talk, I don't think I need that. I want to kind of follow up on what you're talking about, because I understand exactly what your question is. If you're going to keep reducing debt, does that mean you're going to keep increasing taxes? Because the only way to reduce debt is to increase revenue, right? And to stop spending as much money and not take on interest. So if y'all see me out in public talking so much about this Walker Rocks, it's not just for fun. I want to take just a quick second here and explain the purpose of the Walker Rocks campaign and what it's intended to do and is doing. And this is really important. Everyone in here knows basic economics. And when you have a deficit, you either reduce your operating expenses or you increase your revenues, right? So from a property tax standpoint, increasing property taxes is not the answer. It's to increase the stream of sales tax revenue. If y'all just kind of bear with me, just think about that. When we get Walker Rocks, we're not spending money on that. We're using it to promote people to come here from other places and leave their money here in Walker County. Some of them may want to stay, and we welcome them if they do, but the point isn't for them necessarily to stay. It's to come over here, spend some money, and then go back to the house, but leave the money here. So every dollar that they leave here is one less dollar that we, as property taxpayers, need. So that enhances that revenue stream there. And I don't want to turn this next part of what I'm going to bring up into any, this isn't a moral argument, but the passage of the alcohol Sunday thing was huge in the long run for us if we want to capture those dollars. And again, I don't want to make, this has nothing to do with the morality of drinking. It's, do you want your dollars to stay here, or do you want them to go to Fort Oakville or Chattanooga? And I want them to stay here and take the pressure off of property taxes. So those formulas in the long run, the commissioner has led a disciplined, tremendous effort. And I mean, we should really appreciate this, because politically this is not easy for him to reduce the operating costs of the county. I mean, he came in and cut $2 million of spending early. That's not easy, because people like things for free. You won't, generally the politicians would want to have a pile of money to give out and make it like, oh, thank you, buddy, No, discipline, right here. And I'm watching it every single day, and I'm vouching for that. So you reduce operating costs, increase your stream of revenue through sales tax, and then this alcohol tax that we're getting now on Sundays. People are staying here, and the bigger, fancier restaurants will come now. Because before they were saying, I'm sorry, if I can't offer my full menu. I'm talking about places like Applebee's, those kinds of places. So now they'll come, and there's your money. So that's how together we can make that happen. It takes all of us. So help promote Walker Rocks, please.
You know, another thing too is just having a balanced budget. There's 74 budget entities in the commissioner's budget every year. And so having a budget that's real, that the departments buy into, the elected officials buy into, having everyone pull the wagon in the same direction has been huge the last year and a half, of getting everybody on the same page and getting everybody to work within those budgets. Where before, as an example, the landfill, there wasn't a budget. It just didn't have one. That's why it was losing over $500,000 every single year. So for 16 years consecutive, it was over $500,000. And all of those audits are on our website. Joe's done a nice job of rounding all those up and getting it onto the website. So you can go, because the landfill has its own profit and loss statement. And it was over $500,000 average over the last 16 prior years. In 2017, it made $12,000. So you stop bleeding like that. And just the first year on the tax anticipation note, we spent $147,000 in interest just on the note, and didn't even have all that money a whole year. This year, I think it was like $8,000 in interest for that money. So there was over about $140,000 in savings in interest, taking the debt from 70 million down to 46.5 million. You know, what's that? 20 something, 22, 24 million dollars. Times that by about 4% a year. That's a lot of interest savings. The sheriff was in a predicament where he was having to lease purchase cars. When I came in office, he had 25 of his cars that were leased. You know, so these patrol cars, I mean, they run those things hard. They get abused and used, and you know, that's what they're there for, is to use them to protect the citizens. So I'm not knocking it at all. That's just part of what it takes. But what we have in his budget now is cash money for him to be able to buy vehicles with. So we're not fleece purchasing patrol cars on 5 years, and some of them are going to be in the junkyard in 3. And so, you know, I asked the sheriff, one of my first questions to him, I said, out of these 25 cars that are leased, how many of them are still on the road? Here, I neither one even wanted to go look and figure that one out, because it'd probably make us even more sick. Because I'm sure all 25 of them are not still on the road, because they're going to wreck a few of them. I mean, it happens. And so we're changing the cycle and changing the momentum of the way we're going. The last thing I want to do is put this county in a position going forward where any taxes have to be raised. I hope we're done raising taxes completely. We need to be in a position where we're generating revenue from other sources and we're not paying out millions of dollars in interest. The interest is killing us. I mean, just think what we're making in payments. Let me give you an example here. Let's look at the 2018 activity reduction. $13.4 million. What about if we had that money to do something new with it? Instead of paying that out in payments. It's no different than your household. If you get your house paid off and your car paid off, you can pretty well do anything you want to do. Why can't we do that in Walker County? That's been my goal. I think we're going to need about maybe 8 more years. My goal is to see we get Walker County completely out of debt and never go back. I hope there's enough of us around that remembers the $70 million days then that we all scream and yell when somebody tries to take the county and put us in that type of debt. It's toxic. Who's next? Yes, sir.
Now this fellow back here says, we got 1 more year of debt reduction fee. And we've got 33% of the debt. Now, do you all intend to continue paying that debt back at the rate that we have in the first 2 years? Or are you going to slow it down? Or how do you see that?
It will have to slow down some, because if you look at what's going to Erlanger, once that's satisfied, that revenue goes away on what's going to Erlanger. So that's $650,000 a quarter that'll go away. Also, if you look at the splosh, that will cycle out in 2 more years. So that's basically $4.5 million a year that's coming in sales tax. And so that's the special local option sales tax. So once that debt goes off, then the next splosh cycle, we need to pay as we go and use those funds as they come in and pay in cash. So it will slow down, but I still feel like without raising additional taxes, we can still get this knocked out in 8 to 10 years.
So the question is 1 more year going to be enough to do it?
1 more year will get Erlanger satisfied, yes.
I mean, in terms of the fee that you're paying in the taxes, you get that, you're talking 1 more year, do you think that's realistic or not?
No, that will not have to be extended.
I'm going to say something real quick, because I think we're getting off course on them, because there is no debt. There isn't a debt reduction fee. That temporary fee was on Erlanger only. So I know when you use that term, and I thought, okay, somebody's going to get confused. There isn't a debt reduction tax or fee going on right now. It's the Erlanger specific fee only, and it rolls off next year.
One other thing, do y'all think you could put up a big Wi-Fi tower right here in town? You can see that there on property. I feel we'll put that hotel.
say that the state of Georgia has been working on a rural broadband initiative. And so the legislation made some headway in 2018 session. They've got it on the agenda in 2019. I serve on a committee through the Northwest Georgia Regional Commission. We've been working on this, and there's some federal funding dollars that have already come through the Department of Ag that is going to be deployed out across the country for rural broadband. Because if rural communities don't have access to broadband, we're all going to get left behind on the global economy, and everybody's going to have access to internet in order to survive and prosper. I mean, even our school children now are coming home with tablets and computers and iPads and different things from a school standpoint. And we see with our public libraries and a lot of the fast food restaurants that have internet, people are having to go to public facilities in order to access the internet so their kids can do homework. Because either it's not available, or it's just not their budget, or a combination of the two. Good point. Yes, sir.
I would like to revisit one of your favorite subjects.
Okay.
Roads. One of the things that has always concerned me is West Cove Road, and the fact that when it rains, it really gets to be a tricky road to navigate. So much so that even at times you're going to the left lane in order to avoid the potholes and the rough terrain, as well as the channels that hold water and cause you to hydroplane. So I'm concerned about that road, but I'm also concerned about Andrews Lane, please. In the morning hours when you go over there, if you meet somebody coming, you're really at risk because there's no center line. And if we could just get a center line on that road, it would make traveling a whole lot easier. So my main concern right now is roads, and I'd like to see something done with West Cove. I didn't see it on your top 10, so I'd hate to get on those other roads. But Andrews Lane in particular, if we get that striped, that would be a big help.
Yeah, and I was just talking about the bridges. We've been working with the Department of Transportation on bridges, and we've got, Carlin down in this area, is there about 3 that's on the DOT's radar for replacement that we're hoping to be able to get a grant from DOT to replace 3 of these bridges. And I know one of them is on, what was the one we were talking about the other day? Is it on Hog Job?
2 on Hog Job and 1 on Pop. Captain Woods.
Captain Woods, 1 on Captain Woods and 2 on Hog Job. That the state has done some preliminary assessments with us, and also has put that out for bid through the contractors. And so we hope to see some movement, get some of these bridges replaced, because that's another big concern. But what we're finding is some of our roads have deteriorated so much in the base and a lot of the patching work and repair work that has to be done before a road can be paved. And a lot of times that's where a lot of the expense is just getting the road base prepared to pave. And so to resurface a 2-lane county road, so just say Centerline Mile, you're looking at about $150,000 per mile if it's ready to pave. You can spend another $50,000 to $150,000 a mile to get the road ready. So you can spend very easily $200,000 to $250,000 per mile to take care of the roads. So we're getting in right now in our T-Splosh a little over around 300,000 average. So we're getting a little more than what we need to tackle, say, a mile to a mile and a half road. So we've got about 700 miles of road. So, but at least we've started a process that wasn't there in the past. Before, everything was being done strictly with the LMIG, which is state money that comes in, which is about $1 million a year. That's the last few years. That's basically all that we're spending is that LMIG money. For now, we're going to have another $3.5 to $4 million a year to spend, plus the LMIG. So we'll have $4 to $4.5 million a year to spend in road paving. It's been a long, long time since there's been that kind of funding in Walker County, and again, that's all due to y'all passing the T-Splurge. Who's next? Yes, sir.
How do you decide which roads?
Which roads, okay, it's a good question. We had an engineering company come in and do an assessment for us, and they came in and drove every road in Walker County, and they got the equipment and analyzed, and we signed another agreement with them to get them to go back and assess all of the culverts and drain tiles that run under all the roads, because we've had several lately that, I think there's one right up here in West Cove that collapsed, okay, because it was rotten. And so that's happening all over the county. There's something north of 4,000 culverts on county roads in Walker County. So once they get that all finished, they will give us the book and the electronic data. We can put it on a map and be able to determine based off of the grading scale that the state DOT uses. Another reason we needed to do this was to be in a position to apply for additional grant dollars, both state and federal. Because a lot of times these grants come up and you've got like a window of 15 to 30 days to apply. Well, if you've got no data, you're in bad shape. You can't tell Atlanta, well, this road's kind of rough down here in West Cove. You better have some data to back it up from a third-party engineer that you can insert and say, this road scored a 28 out of 100, and here's all the segments, here's all the evaluations of that road. So we have had every road in Walker County evaluated, and they're going back and should have it in the next 30 days of all the culverts that run under all these roads. And we'll have them GPS located, size and condition of all those culverts. Yes, sir, Mike?
If you want some data on a road, go down in front of Benny Cross.
Yeah, in front of Benny Crosses. He told me if I come by there, he might shoot.
Well, he might, but there's
Yes.
car parks and everything laying down there.
Kendrick Switch Road. I travel that far yet back there, but I live on
You know
the
what I'm talking about?
railroad crossing.
That's
Who's
Benny
responsible
Cross.
for that? Because
It's
I
right.
almost ran into my
Yeah,
mom
it
every
is.
time
Yeah,
tonight. Because you can't see there's no walls, and you hit one a little bit too fast. Well, there's a damage to the home.
Yeah, what she's referring to is the OTAG rail line that runs down through the valley here. And Carlin, correct me if I'm wrong, but that railroad and right-of-way is still owned by the railroad. And so we don't have the right to go in there and take it up, replace it, do anything to it, because the railroads, for the most part, across the country were here before the roads were. So when we look at this, we look at it that railroad is crossing our road, that's backwards. Our road is crossing their railroad. That's the way that they look at it. Because many times the railroad was there before the road was. And so we're at the mercy of the railroad, and they have frozen the use of the line, but they've not technically abandoned or given that line up. Yes.
It's been a few years ago that when Beatty was in office, and I asked her, the railroad is not being used, it's falling apart, most places it's, obsolete. And she said within 2 years, they were gonna release it. And I don't know what happened to that, because my suggestion was to take the old railroad line and smooth it out, flatten it out, whatever you want to do with it, and pave it for the Ironman bicyclers to go down that instead of 193. Because it takes them right where they want to go, and comes right back. And we had some off of 193, somebody's going to get killed. They have already.
Yeah. As far as the railroad being abandoned, I guess is the word they would use, I don't have any knowledge that it has been abandoned. My understanding and knowledge that it still belongs to the railroad. If that's changed, or if we've got that fact wrong, it's not changed, it still belongs to the railroad. Okay. What was that? I'm sorry. Is that CSX? No, they wouldn't be able to tag. I think it's probably CSX. Comes through the valley, go tag line. Comes down, kind of parallels to 193.
I'll get that information.
Okay. We'll look into that and verify. It's possible. Try to take it over. Right. Yeah, I know there's been talk in the past about making it a natural, rails to trails type of approach. Yeah, we need to get them to do some maintenance or give it up. Very good. Who's next? Yes. Okay, the question is for county ran operated garbage service instead of it being private. That's the first person, you've been the first one that's asked that question, and I haven't, honestly, not given that any consideration. That's one of the things just by having these meetings, just to try to get some of these ideas and brainstorm about that. I've not thought of it. Some does. All the above. People throw it out because they don't want to pay. Some it falls off the truck. Some of it is the private independent commercial haulers that don't have the proper equipment. They're not enclosed like what I would call a traditional garbage truck. They've taken a pickup truck and modified it, and then they lose part of the load. It's definitely something to think about, look at. Yes, sir.
If you go to a county-operated garbage pickup, you'll never be able to compete with these other little companies. You're not going to get it for free.
That's right.
You got to pay for it. Right now, average $15 a month to get your trash picked up. No way you're going to pay $15 a month to get your trash picked up from the county.
That's a good point. The most expensive way, I've said this before, the most expensive way to do anything in America is to let the government do it. Okay? Private business can do everything much more cost effective. So you're right. Most likely, it would be almost a given for the county to get into the garbage business. It would probably cost more than what you're being charged today. But it may fix the problem too. It may be worth that. For, if that's the direction the community want to go. But maybe in the meantime, we need to look at our ordinance and regulations and things for some of these trucks that are letting the stuff fly off their trucks because they're not enclosed. It's on the other hand, yes, sir.
So it's a public safety issue. When you've got rats, it's just nasty. We're trying to promote Walker County, Walker Rocks, and we've got trash everywhere.
Joe, can you put that one screen up about the trash again?
I don't think you can really blame the private garbage pickup people for all of the problems because a lot of people put their trash in the back of their truck or on a trailer and haul it up and dump themselves. I've been carrying my own trash to the dump for 30 years.
And that's one thing too, we've had a campaign, that's a good point. At the landfill, we did some handouts about 30 days ago telling people that if you take something to the landfill, you need to have your load secured, you need to have it enclosed or tarped or tied down because sometimes people think, hey, I've just got a couple of bags in the back of the truck, they're not going anywhere. A school bus goes by you or a big truck and changes the wind flow that hits the back of your vehicle, and you may have a bag of trash that weighs 20 or 25 pounds and it gets airborne. So, you're right, it's not all by the commercial haulers, and probably half of what they pick up is just people slinging stuff out the window. Yes, Eric?
On our water system, since you said all how much are we spending a year on our treatment centers down in Chicago for those wells? The other part of that, I know it's a lot. Can we not utilize, we've got wells all over, can we not utilize some of our, these other wells that used to be that were used, I don't know if they're being used now or if they're any good. But considering the amount of money that the water system, we've got a lot of stuff, we've got water lines, we've got that. How are we going to get ourselves out from underneath that? Now, I'm on the water system, people that are on the water system are paying huge amounts. You know, it's a constant increase. How are we going to get ourselves out from under that situation in Chicago where our water, the water prices are going to drop some?
Yeah, it's a big question that the board works on every single month, because when I went onto the Water and Sewer Authority Board in January 2017, 5-person board, and I being one of the 5, 4 of us, that was our very first meeting. And the most senior member of the board had been there 2 months. He had us by 2 meetings. And what we peeled back the layers of and found was basically a system that had not been maintained to the standard it should have been maintained and reinvesting in the infrastructure. By the water increase rates that we have gotten in a position where we can put $1 million a year minimum into infrastructure. So we can get a lot done with cash, money that's coming in through the rates to work on that infrastructure. So, you know, it is interesting, if you stop and think about it, that we're pulling water 200 foot out of the ground, treating that water, putting it in the distribution system, delivering it to a household, every spigot, every faucet in a house, pressurized, clean, additized, at your convenience, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year for the most part, for $19. There's $19 for you to have that delivery system infrastructure in place to get that water to your bathtub and to your sink. Then, when you turn that water on, you get to use 1,000 gallons of it. And once you've used 1,000 gallons at your discretion, you're going to get an additional charge of $4.65. So I know the water prices have gone up, and the board made the decision to go up, and I supported that decision. The board was unanimous because we knew we had to do it. But our base used to be $11 for that distribution system. Then we went to 15, now we're at 19. So it has gone up substantially. But when you think about for less than $20, you can go over and turn that spigot, and your consumption is up to you at that point. So we still have some of the lowest cost water across America, but I do agree and admit and understand fully that it's still about double what it was 2 or 3 years ago, but there wasn't nothing being done to the infrastructure. Well, it's going to depend on your consumption. We went from $11 to 15 and to 19. And then we took the per thousand from $3.50 to $4.65.
Is there any maintenance done with the meters? How do we know they're working?
Yes, that's a good question about the meters, integrity of the meters. I think it was 8 years ago they put in the wireless meters where they could read those by just driving by. So every month when they come to read your meter, the meter man used to come up and pop the lid and look at the number. Now they just go about 25 miles an hour or so and just drive by, and it pings all these meters. And then he gets green lights. If it misses a meter because of something that's wrong with the meter or whatever, then you have to go back and check it. But we are getting to that stage where they say once meters become into that lifespan of between 6 and 10 years old, you need to start doing meter testing. So that's something that we've started in 2019, is we're going to start doing a sampling of meters and test them. And then that's another thing that they advise you is 5% of your meters ought to be replaced every year. So you don't come up all at one time in your 10, 15 years and all of your meters need to be replaced, and $3 million later, you get the sticker shock. You want to be replacing them. So we're in that realm right now that we're going to start looking and going to start replacing meters. We're going to start the testing first. Yes.
Is there any chance, especially since so many people here live on long driveways, that they could let you know, inform you if suddenly you have a huge hike in your water usage that obviously is a leak? They used to do that years ago, but is there any way at all that they can do that? Plus, are we part of Tennessee Water? Is that where we come? What is the name of our company, our overreaching company, where our water comes from?
Walker County Water.
Just Walker County Water? Are they subsidized in any way then? Well, that is reasonable. Then I thought it was.
It's not subsidizing at all.
Okay, but that's not
The system, the accounting software, billing software they have now does flag them if the bill is an average. I think they take a 90-day average. If your bill exceeds that, they'll notify you with a phone call. Where that becomes a problem sometimes, if you've had a leak that's been gradual and it starts small and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger over that 30, 60, 90, 120 days, and your water bill gradually increases, then the system's not going to catch it. So you wouldn't get notified because your bill went from, say, $50 to $75, and then it went to $90, and then went to $130, and you go, wait a minute, the system's not going to catch that. If you're at $50 and it goes to $130, it's going to flag that. But there's 11,000 plus customers on the system. And so it's not really practical for them to go through and analyze every account. The system will generate a report if it falls out within that section, and the exception to that rule, and they call customers every single month and say, hey, your bill has spiked. One thing that we did that was by request of some customers was to put the option out there for insurance leak protection. We added that probably now 8 or 9 months ago, where you could opt in or out of that for $2 for the leak protection, covers up to $500 per year for leak protection. And we had, I think, over 80% of the customers, and we're paying out on that every single month because y'all notice you've heard and read and seen the earthquakes and the different shimmers and the shifting of the earth we've had. That's hard on water lines. The water line running to your house and also the water mains. The last one that they had in the Chickamauga area, the city of Chickamauga, which has their own water system, they had 9 water main breaks all at one time. I mean, it really crippled their system because of the earthquake. And it took them about 14 hours to get all those updated. One thing, too, that we're going to be able to do better with this new Siren GPS system, we'll be able to target areas. And so if they come up and say, hey, the water line on West Cove Road, we've got a water line main bust, they can geofence this area with that software and notify all of you that are affected in this area through the Siren GPS notification that, hey, there's a water main break, here's our estimated time of having that back in service. Because a lot of people, if you knew your water was out, you could have made some changes in your daily routine, or you wouldn't have drove all the way home to fix supper, you'd stop and pick something up, or you would have made a change if you'd have known that, hey, the water main broke at 2 o'clock and it's going to be 9 o'clock tonight before they get it back on. You can make some adjustments. And so that's one of the things that this software will do for us that we now have put online, is to notify on any incident or any safety or any notification we need to push out. We can get it all the way down to the individual street or any general area.
Does the insurance situation work with things like State Farm, places like that they pay and see the same connection?
not county-owned property, but any residence can that's on the Walker County system. I'm not sure for a commercial business account, I don't remember from the document. They can tell you if the authority or send you okay, that's what they told you, okay. So you've already used it, okay. Yes, let's jump over here.
Each water meter on the little lid has a glass lens. You will let the pedal that spins when you've got water flow. So all your water systems shut down on your property. That little thing is spinning.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can pop the lid on it and see that little red dial turning. But here's kind of a rule of thumb. Look at your water bill every single month. Because just because you didn't have a leak last month doesn't mean you don't have one this month. Because the water lines are old, water lines are shifting, we've got a lot of limestone rubbing against these. You can get a water leak at any given time for no fault of your own. The rule of thumb is, if you have a family of 4 people in a household, you should use, without even having to really think or concern or really be conscientious about it, your household should use about 5,000 gallons of water per month. So if you go home and there's just 2 of you, and your bill says you use 7,000 gallons, you've got a problem. That may be a faucet leaking, it may be a toilet running, it may be something more simple. So if there's just 2 of you, you ought to be using somewhere around 2,500 gallons. Now, if you've got a swimming pool or you're watering your lawn or these type of things, take that into account. But right here in the dead of the winter, you ought to be using, that's around, I think, about 1,250 gallons or so per person per month without even thinking about it. I mean, that doesn't mean when you're brushing your teeth, you cut the water off to save that 2 gallons. I'm talking about just live. Not trying to be conservative. You want to take a long shower, you just take a long shower. But on average, a household of 4 will use about 5,000 gallons. A friend of mine who's single come in one day, he said, man, my water bill's coming up, y'all going up with these fees. He said, my water bill was $44. I said, you got a leak. How do you know? You been over to my house? I said, no, but I know you live by yourself. So I know your base fee is $19. I know even if you use 2,000 gallons, it's going to be less than $10. Your bill shouldn't be over $38 or so in tax. But it was just 44. I said, got a leak. Sure enough, he went home, called me the next day, found the leak. Another thing the water company can do with these electronic meters, if you're running into a problem, we can have to come back out, but we can pull and pull a report, and we can get a reading out of that meter of what that meter's done every single hour. We can go back several months, and it's a tell-all. When I get people on the phone and they go, there's no way I'm using this much water. And I say, well, how many's in your household? Well, there's 4 of us. Well, you use 4,800 gallon last month. There's no way we use that much water. I said, that's pretty much on average. And I'm saying, but I can tell every morning you wake up about 6:30 and take a shower, right? And then all of y'all leave, and the first one home is usually about 4 o'clock. And you must have took a vacation back the week of 4th of July because you didn't use any water at all that week. This report, you can kind of dissect and tell what people's habits are when their water's on and off. It's amazing. So anytime you've got a situation you can't figure something out, we can analyze the meter data. Who's next? Yes.
Talk about the water, what about the electricity, the power goes off on a regular basis?
We got to do something about the squirrels. We have a wild games supper, do something more about the squirrels. Power was off at my house Saturday. My wife said, I heard this explosion. I go out and look, sure enough, the squirrel never made it down. So that's a lot of the issue with the power, squirrels blowing, tripping transformers. So unfortunately, a or maybe fortunately, I should say, the county doesn't handle the power, because that'd probably also be a mess. But Georgia Power, y'all probably own North Georgia, so that's in their wheelhouse. But one thing that's being pushed, we talked about this rural broadband, to try to get internet to everybody's home. The most cost-effective, best way to get broadband to everybody's house and get possibly fiber is through your power company. Because they've already got the infrastructure, they've already got the poles, they're already at your house. The problem is right now with like the power companies getting into, in Georgia, getting into the internet business is state laws. There's power companies that would love to be in the internet business in Georgia if they could get some state laws changed. And that's part of this broadband bill, is to take the handcuffs off of your co-ops, in particular your power co-ops. Like North Georgia Electric is one, to be able to offer that if they desire, if they saw that that's something they wanted to get into, because they're already running the power to your house. So a lot of that infrastructure is already there, and they need to run additional fiber or something. Some of them they're already use a lot of fiber. So call your legislators and say, hey, we need rural broadband. They're going to tell you, well, there's some things in the hopper, and just say, hey, well, we need you to vote in support of allowing that to move forward. Good question. Yes, sir.
What's the chance of the county getting new industry?
All right, Robert, I'm going to leave that one to you. You're an economic development guy.
Sure. I think the question that I heard is what is in the hopper as far as industry goes. We have, I think I talked about this several months ago when we had the opportunity that was potential for this industry over, and it happened to be right over in here. And like that, we get a lot of inquiries all the time from people that are interested. And what we have going on right now is that we're only taking serious people, because the commissioner and I both agreed that we're not going to offer outrageous incentives to basically just look good and take anybody on that comes in here and just says, we're going to come here, but we want you to abate taxes for 20 years, which is exactly what a lot of them do. So now they're coming in and giving us their ideas of how it actually helps us prosper, how we benefit, how the citizens benefit. And one thing that we are doing is we are saying to all prospects, they come in here and they want to abate the school tax. They want an abatement. And if anyone doesn't know what that means, what they're saying that they want the county to not charge them property taxes. And in exchange, they'll come here. And it's standard in industry. They all say that, because in my past life in the Coca-Cola business, we never built a Coca-Cola plant that didn't receive property tax abatements. Never. So at this point, you're not getting the same, no one's saying yes at the moment unless they're really serious about the long-term investment here. So we have, I would say, 6 or 7 open prospect things going on right now. People just inquiring under these code names, but nothing serious at this moment. But just know, if anything comes, it's going to come with a benefit to Walker County. It's not going to come with handouts. So I don't have anything that we can report at the moment, but there are several interesting things going on. Just remember, when it comes, it's coming with benefit, not giveaways.
What happened to Pilgrim's
She just asked what happened with Pilgrim's Pride. That was never officially, you said Pilgrim's Pride, and I won't disagree with you, okay? But they never made any official thing to come here, so I can't officially say that because that would be up to them to say, but I'm not disagreeing with you that the interest was there. That interest got real serious. I think we were talking back and forth with them about their interest in coming here and creating a big old bunch of jobs and a lot of economic benefit to Walker County. And they knew they had an uphill climb because of the reputation of that industry. But things have changed a whole lot in that industry. Had it gone to another level where they had officially said, we're now declaring that we want to come here, then we would have had this big town hall. And I was excited to be able to share with you what was before you, the decision that was there to be made of benefit in the multiple tens of millions of dollars, immediate relief to Walker County. It was going to be really interesting, to say the least. About, 8 months ago now, I guess, roughly 8 months ago, I think they were about to make a decision. And I don't know internally what happened. It did not include us, nor no communication to us whatsoever. But something internally happened, I believe, that stopped the clock for them and put things on a big delay. Or possibly they just stopped. I don't know. Yes, sir. And I'll tell you that I think they really loved the idea of being here, and they liked the idea that they're going to invest a lot of money. I do want you all to know, I think this project, personally, this is an opinion from me, due to the fact I haven't heard a word from them in 8 or 9 months. I don't believe they're interested anymore or anytime soon, but I think it became a matter of not where they were going to do it, but if they were going to do it. If they were going to do it and we would have them, they were going to come here. And I'll tell you, before you start thinking, well, good, they're not coming, you would at least want to wait and hear and see the new technology and hear the benefit before you made a real fast judgment. Let me lay it out to you. If these things ever come around, just hold tight. Because we can't do anything without public meetings. I think that's important to know. We can talk to them, and we're protected to do that, to talk about the idea. But before it's official, it has to be public. So just keep that. I hope that's comforting to some extent. You're not going to wake up and say, holy cow, where did that come from? It'll always be talked about. So I know there was a little confusion at the time of, I guess, demands like, hey, tell us exactly what they're saying. We can't do that. You'll never get any business, ever. They would never, ever, ever come if they don't have the right to talk to the representative and kind of fill out the interest. What are you kind of willing to give us to come here? And if we say, no school tax abatement, sorry, they may want to say, well, then you're out. And I said, Shannon and I both tell them, we shake hands and say, thank you so much for your interest. We respect that. We are not abating school taxes. We're not doing it. The first thing they do, they come in here and say, tell us about your workforce and your education. Right, Shannon? Every single time. Tell us about you. I want to know about your school system. And the next thing they say is, well, I don't want to pay taxes in the school system. I just want it to be great. We're not doing that. I hope you all support that. But as long as Shannon and I are here, we're not abating school taxes. It is in Walker County. And it is going on. That is a private, that is a 100% private endeavor. Mr. Dwayne Horton and his group from City Plan are the ones that are doing that up there. And it's slow, but they're doing it. We went up there, maybe about 6 weeks ago, and looked at the progress on that golf course. They're building one of these, super fancy golf courses for people to go, like Pebble Beach, that kind of place where people come from everywhere. We're not spending one single penny of county money. None. We are cheerleading for them like wild animals because it's a free shot in the arm for us. If this can happen, or when it happens, there's $6 million into it. The golf course has been renovated. It is a serious place that's intended for people to come from out of town, but it is moving forward.
Yeah, they do have Wi-Fi already. Talking about the resort on Lookout Mountain, as Robert indicated, it has been moving slow, but that just shows that you've got investors that are here for the long haul. They're not looking at this as a flash, in and out 2 or 3 years and flipping and this type of thing. And the biggest thing that impresses me is they're doing all of this with cash money. They're telling us today they have no debt. So again, what can you do when you have no debt? Anything you want to do. So they have invested $6 million already, and they're just getting started. But they're very organized, they're very well funded. The beauty of this is the leadership and the core people that's investing in this are local people. They care about this area. They care about the natural beauty. That's what's bringing them to this area to invest, is the natural beauty in the mountains and the sceneries and the outdoors. And the number one thing that they said that they love about Walker County is that we do not have an interstate. Because an interstate would mess it up. So a lot of times you hear people say, well, if we just had an interstate. Well, we've got a 4.5-star luxury resort coming to Walker County because we don't have an interstate. And to echo what Robert said, the amount of money that we have invested into that project is zero. The amount of money we intend to invest in that project is zero. Now, there are some incentives for them if and when they finalize the project and employ 180 full-time employees with benefits. There's some incentives for them if they reach that goal. But there's nothing on the front end, which is very, very unusual. Most of these projects, they want all front end, and then you hope they finish it, or you hope they get started. We did this one quite the reverse. There's only some incentives on the back end, and there's zero investment on the back end from the county. We are putting no money, no county dollars are coming out of your property taxes for that up there.
Shannon, can I say one thing about this project? It might be educational, it may be helpful. Are you familiar with Barnsley Gardens? Is anyone familiar with that project? Almost all of these projects like this are public-private partnerships where the state or the counties pay half of it, and private investors pay half of it. That's the way these things work. This is one where instead of paying half of it, we're helping them cheerlead half of it. We're paying in cheerleading versus money because we don't have any money. But if you're friends that know about Barnsley, that's the best comparison of anything around here. It's that kind of nice. You can brag to them like, no, we're not paying for it. And they're going to say, you have to be because else they won't do it. But in this case, we got lucky. We got lucky that once we said we can invest, they said we want to do it anyway. And so we're doing everything we can to help them. But just want to pass that on.
Well, we're going to get sales tax generated. We're going to get hotel motel tax, alcohol sales. And we need to go back and pull that presentation up that we did at the City Center back. That sounds about right. We were projecting, once they got it ramped up, that just new revenue to Walker County and different revenue sources would be about $1 million a year with no upfront investment. So it would be a huge, huge win. And like Robert said, almost without exception, when you get a facility like that coming in the community, they're looking for local government to sign the dotted line on the bonds. If they issue bonds, they want local government to be on the hook. And a lot of times, it's about 50%, 40 to 50%. So if you go back to the very, very beginning, when that project first started, and they started talking about a hotel resort up there, a conference center, the documents that I have copies of that never got executed, thank goodness, was going to put the county on the hook, their share of $50 million. And I'm so thankful that never happened. But I will never sign any type of deal anywhere, nothing close like that at all, period.
I mean,
180 is what they've committed to as the minimum to get the incentives.
Two questions, Shannon. Vision 2030, and I apologize if I did this earlier, I was a little late coming in. Vision 2030, the meetings scheduled for that are going to be online, where if you want to attend, you can. That's what you got.
How are y'all planning to do that? Matt's kind of coordinating that.
We were going to make this kind of an informal group without any kind of binding power over anything. It's much more of an aspirational group. If you're interested in seeing when those meetings will be, I don't have any problem, and I can coordinate with Joe to have those posted. But we're not going to have any binding voting authority over any issue. Everything would just be for purposes of soliciting input. And to that end, I would love to have people. That would be great.
I would ask for that because, I mean, not being contentious, but we've got a sole commissioner and that recommendation comes with one vote.
Well, one thing.
Clear process of what's going on.
Yeah, one thing too positive that's good that's in place, any change to any ordinance has to be advertised in the local paper for 2 consecutive weeks. And also we have to have 2 public meetings and have open comment for them. So before any changes would be made, that information would be out there, also would all be online, and then a full version of that ordinance would be published online for a minimum of 2 weeks. That you can download and look at, making recommendations. Probably the best example of that public collaboration that we were seeking and we got is when we updated the animal care ordinances. That was phenomenal because there was some people coming in ready to fight. Okay, so that wasn't the good part. The good part is we were able to get everybody on the same page and get everybody to help craft that. And we got a lot of great ideas from the public meetings that we implemented, and by the time we got to the final meeting, I think 2 people had anything additional to say. Well, one meeting we had 300 people there. So we went through that process because we know we don't have all the answers. That's one reason why we're holding these, is to get public input. We welcome that because we don't see and know all. Yes, because we want to make that public, so I just did a simple resolution in one of my meetings after we had already asked them if they were willing to serve, and just appointed them to that group so that we could publicize it, so that way people can contact them either directly, have input, and so forth.
Some of the activities of the group is not going to be in a meeting room where we sit and we talk about issues. For example, at our first meeting, we talked about a collaboration with the Southeastern Tennessee Development District. And one of the projects that I'm working on just in between meetings is to try to develop a relationship with them from a county, as a county point person. And some of our vision team activities might involve going up there for a visit, or it might involve the group just going out around the county as a group to look at things. And it might be difficult for people to just come along for the ride because of the logistical travel things, but just something to keep in mind about that.
Yeah, this information we can't hear what's going on.
Yeah, we're definitely going to keep everybody updated of what's going on. Mountain Cove Farms, yes. Mountain Cove Farm still has a bunch of debt on it. If you look there, economic development, we've still got $14.24 million worth of debt on Mountain Cove Farms. The Ag Center up in Rock Springs and the Civic Center and the Industrial Park was all bundled together when they did that farm. We've got an exciting announcement that will be coming out within the next 30 days about Mountain Cove Farms. It's pretty neat. The usage of Mountain Cove Farm has done this. They got real close to, it's 900 and something, almost 1,000 overnight stays at Mountain Cove Farms in 2018. That was more than double from what it was in 2017 and 3 times what it was in 2016. So we're getting closer to break even financially. We've reduced the staff tremendously, and they've done this to the numbers. Because I made it real simple for the staff when I first came in. It's number one, we're going to stop selling alcohol. Government has no business selling alcohol and taking on that responsibility, that liability, and putting you, the citizens, under that liability. But we have to be in a position of just taxing alcohol. And then I said, we're going to streamline the staff and get down to a workable management crew. And if y'all want to continue to have a job, you're going to turn this place around and get busy, or we'll just shut it down. Because the first year it lost over $900,000. Then it was $700,000. Then it lost $425,000. Our first year in office, which was only 9 months, it was down to about $200,000. This year, 2018, we just closed out, it's about $81,000 loss. And so we are marching toward that break even because the 2016 audit was over $400,000. So we're down under around $75,000, $80,000. So we feel like that it brings a lot of value to the community, the Walker Rocks, the natural beauty, and getting people interested. Personally, I would love to sell it for someone to do something and preserve it, but we got this $14 million hanging over our head, so we don't have a clear title. And since they've lumped several properties into that, it's not quite worth that much on its own to settle that.
Great job, appreciate it. The revenue source on that primarily leasing the farmland, running the wedding or events, and then the overnight stay?
It's primarily the wedding venues and the overnight stays. If you're heading, I guess, on Hogjaw, if you're going in that way or into the cove, everything on the left-hand side is owned by the state. The county has a long-term lease agreement to lease the airstrip. But all the farmland you see on the left side, Pigeon Mountain side, is all DNR property. Some of what you see on the right side belongs to the county. So only agriculture dollars we're receiving in is the fee that's being paid for the hay, to cut the hay off of it. All the other revenue that's coming in is off of the stays, the wedding venue, and there's a little bit of revenue comes out of the general store, and a tiny, tiny bit for the frisbee golf that's up on top of it. Bring back the restaurant? Well, the restaurant was losing over $900,000 a year when the county ran it. I tell you, the most expensive way to do anything is let the county government do it. And if you really want to get crazy, let the federal government do it. But I know the last individual that was down there, Greg Cornelius, made a pretty good run at it. And that deal and relationship was put together in 2016. But he was renting the restaurant facility, all the equipment, furniture, fixtures, silverware, plates, cups, everything, for, I believe it was $600 a month. And he couldn't survive. And it's even with that low of overhead, couldn't make it. So, they say location, location, location. The restaurant business is a tough industry as a whole. And to put it in a remote, beautiful location is even tougher. It's not that it can't be done, but his overhead was right. It just wasn't enough consistent business. And you definitely don't want your county government in the restaurant business.
Question, if things are looking good for Mountain Grove Farm down the road, speaking of roads, you gotta get there on West Cove Road.
Oh, that was a setup.
To get there, you wanna have a nice road for people to travel there. It's a long way to go.
Did you get that, Joe? Did you know that? Okay. Don't forget that one.
That was just a comment.
I agree.
I'm not asking for all that.
You're right. And honestly, between us friends, it is an embarrassment when people come from out of state and out of country to Mountain Cove and it's a rub board to get there. I mean, it is embarrassing.
It's embarrassing for us every day.
Yeah. We've got an international event coming. I think it's summer of 19. It's either summer 19 or summer of 20. It's going to bring about 600 people in international. It's coming to Mountain Cove Farms for a visit, have a meal on the grounds. And so, you know, we hope they enjoy their stay and they don't judge us on the roads getting there. But, you know, it's the infrastructure that we all inherited here, what we've got to deal with, and the road money is only coming in so fast. And another thing, we passed the T-Splosh in November of 2017. It didn't, by the laws of the state, the way everything has to work, we didn't start collecting those funds until April of 2018. So we've not even had quite a year yet of collections. And so we took, I think, Carlin, what project on the mountain went in about $580,000, I think, that we paid for. Diamond Circle was $200,000. 230, 240 with everything. So we have taken and used that and paid for that as we go. And so that's what through the winter we've been building up this cash to pave those roads that are on this list. I wish we could go faster, but we did not want to bond out that money and pay the high interest rates and add to the balance sheet of debt. Just as an example, I saw the invoice last week for the interest on the Economic Development Authority bond, the $15 million bond, that the balance is down to $14.2 million. The interest on that one note the other day was $339,000. $339,000 worth of interest. And that was just for 6 months. It wasn't even a year. You paid twice a year. $339,000 for 6 months. So that's how much. When you start looking at these type of numbers, I mean, who's got a calculator to tell us what 46 million? What's 4% on 46 million as an average?
184.
So $1.84 million a year in interest is to service the amount of debt we've got left. If it's just an average of 4%. Some of it's a little less than that, some of it's a little more than that. So just averaging 4%, we're spending almost $2 million a year in interest, which is coming from you, the taxpayer. So we were committed not to take and add more to that. I mean, I could have been a real hero, folks. Get the T-Splosh passed, put it on the referendum where we could finance it, go out to the market, finance it, be able to have $25, $30 million that I could go out here and do a lot of paving like that. Y'all have really thought we were cool. But folks, we're thinking long term. We can't think about just today. We've got to think long term. And the best for our county currently and for the generations behind us is to get out of debt. That's where we got to get, because we don't know when hard times are going to hit again. Many of you are farmers. I don't have to tell y'all anything about hard times. We never know when the next one's coming. And so we've got to get this debt off of us and just be able to pay and fix things and pay as the money comes in. And we want to, there's nobody here that wants it done any faster than me, because I hear every day, when are you going to pave our roads? When are you going to pave our roads? And it's a real problem. It's a big problem. And I was over in West Virginia Valley about a month ago and drove down South Big Creek Road. Never been on that road before. But I get a couple of requests to go over there. And I'm not saying this, don't take my word for this, y'all go drive it. Right here before you get to the center here, this real bad rough spot, they would love to have that of all of South Big Creek Road. I mean, it almost brought tears to my eyes how bad that road was. Now, I'm not discounting, these roads over here are in bad shape too. We can do better. Long term, we can do better. But there are some roads, and we've still got over 20 miles of roads that's never been paved. And Carlin hears from those folks quite often. We go put some tar and gravel, some millings, and sometimes some crusher run, and just trying to nursemaid them along. But these county roads that have never been paved, they're rural roads, and sometimes there's only 8 or 10 houses on them. We've got to get our main thoroughfares and our main passage roads where our populations are first, based off of those assessments. I mean, I'd love to pave every road in Walker County, but if you just say there's 700 miles of road, what's 700 times, say 200,000 average? 700 miles times 200,000 a mile. What? 140 million? That's what it would take. Just as a good ballpark estimate. They've got $140 million.
Check that. What was it again?
200,000 times 700. Yeah. So we're bringing in 300,000 a month. What's 300,000 times 12? 3.6 million?
36.
That's how much we're bringing in a year. So let's just say we do real good and we get 4 million. That's the situation we're in. Now, there's always options, folks. That's one thing I love about local government. There's always options. We can make the county government whatever size you want. And during my campaign, I used a quote from Thomas Jefferson. I'm going to paraphrase it. I don't remember exactly. But basically says, we can make government whatever size you want it, but we may take everything you have to give you everything that you want. So, there are options, but where we get a lot of pressure is don't raise property taxes any more than they already are. They're high enough. And I'm with you. We have no desire to raise property taxes anymore. If the community come out in mass and says, we want roads paved faster, we need more money going to roads, well, a mill will bring in about $1 million a year. Y'all just let me know what multiple you want to use. 2 mil, 3 mil, and we'll earmark it for roads. But a mill will bring in, just round numbers, about $1 million a year in property taxes. So there's options. But we know most of you is not going to like that option. But another thing that's going to be very important, and this is one thing that's really going to help us get over the top, and I didn't plan to talk about this, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the seed in the soil here. But within the next year and a half, we're going to have to come back before you as a community and put SPLOSH back on the ballot, because our 6-year SPLOSH is going to run its course. And right now it's on our balance sheet at $8.6 million still owed on it. It will pay out over the next 2 years. Okay, that brings in about $4.5 million a year in sales tax that we can use for capital improvements and infrastructure and buying things for the county that they need without creating the debt. We don't have to bond it out, but just pay as you go. But that's 1 cent of your sales tax. And SPLOST has been in place for, I think Roy Parrish did the first SPLOST and started putting in sewer lines and built the civic center and different things with it. And a lot of good things done with the SPLOST. But we're going to come back before you and ask you to reapprove to keep the sales tax exactly where it's at and be able to take those dollars to invest in our infrastructure to continue to move forward. If not, the infrastructure needs are not going to change. Funding's got to be funded somehow. But I feel like personally, and you may disagree, we can talk about it, but I feel like the most fair tax that we have is sales tax. Because it's a consumption tax and it's fair to everybody. And so the state, this is what doesn't make sense to me, but the state limits us on what we can do, on what sales tax rate we have. I would have much rather done the math and figured out how much to raise the sales tax and now have to do, it never had even had to raise the property taxes 2 years ago. We could take and keep that in sales tax, but the state won't allow you just to inadvertently raise your sales tax. The last option they gave us to raise sales tax was with the T-Splosh, and y'all graciously passed that. So we are at the max rate that the state will allow a community to have is 8% in the state of Georgia. Now, that's not to say over time they can't be changed. It would take a legislative approval and signed by the governor to give a local government the authority to even put it on the ballot to vote on. Okay, I so much appreciate y'all being here tonight. This has been fantastic. It's 8 o'clock. Y'all been sitting in those plastic chairs for 2 hours. I do still see some cookies and some coffee and some soft drinks. Myself and the team will be around. If there's other things you still want to talk to us about, we're happy to listen to you. But thank you so much for coming, and look forward to working with you in 2019.